Hey guys, this is officaljamntherealist coming back to you with another video, and today I wanted to talk about the history of DC Comics, or mainly summarize it with the main crises. Not all the crises, but at least I want to say 5 of them. I call this the first half of DC, or you could probably split this half of DC into 2, but the first one is Crisis on Infinite Earths. The next one is 0 Hour Crisis in Time. The next one is Infinite Crisis. And then the one after that is Final Crisis, and then Flashpoint. So all of these in some way or form rebooted, or basically rebooted the DC timeline or the DC universe, or made a new status quo to the DC universe. And the first one is Crisis on Infinite Earth. So during pre-Crisis, which is what they call it, there was Golden Age, Silver Age, and Bronze Age. And during those 3 ages, there was 2 main universes, and it was Earth 1 and Earth 2. And the reason how these universes met is because of Flash. Well, Jay Garrick Flash and Barry Allen Flash ran into each other, thus created a whole lot of smaller crises, like Crisis on Earth 1, Crisis on Earth 2, 3, XS, etc. Thus creating a lot of inconsistencies in stories and different things and the timeline. So they decided to clear all that up. They decided to do Crisis on Infinite Earths. And Crisis on Infinite Earths was about this guy named the Anti-Monitor, which is the villain, wanting to eat all the universes and put them all together into one Earth. Well, they defeated the Anti-Monitor, but it did reboot the DC universe into one universe, one solid timeline. Thus, it went into post-Crisis. So the next crisis is 0 Hour Crisis in Time. 0 Hour Crisis in Time basically happened because of Hal Jordan destroyed his hometown during the reign of Superman, like the death and reign of Superman. So, he got power from a being named Parallax and started going through time and messing with time. And there was another villain named Extant, I believe his name, Extant, which was Hawk from Hawk and Dove. And the inconsistencies that happened during post-crisis was, for example, the JSA was still young. They still look like they still look like their 1940s selves. Thus, they use Extant, which is Hawk, to age them, so they could look like the age they're supposed to in modern times. So they defeated Hal Jordan Green Lantern, which was which I guess I forgot the villain name. I want to say Parallax, but I know it's not Parallax. But yeah, they defeated Hal Jordan, and it created a new timeline. And the new timeline, like, for example, there was Batman Year 1, Year 2, and Year 3. Well, Year 2 and Year 3 got replaced by Long Halloween and Dark Victory because of 0 Hour Crisis in Time. So it helped them fix the timeline so things weren't inconsistent. Then the next crisis is Infinite Crisis. This is, to me, one of the best crises. I haven't read all of it yet, but because I have the big, huge omnibus, but it's one of the best crises so far that I've been reading. And Infinite Crisis is basically kind of changing the status quo, I guess, or you could also say tying loose ends, because, spoiler alert, after Crisis on Infinite Earths, Superman from Earth 2, Superboy from Earth Prime, and Lex Luthor, I want to say, not from Earth 3, I forgot what Earth he was, but this Lex Luthor, he had a full head of red hair. They survived Crisis on Infinite Earths, and when they saw how dark the DC universe was getting, because during that time, the DC universe was getting dark. You had the death of Jason Todd, a lot of the death of, many other characters, Hal Jordan blowing up his city and all that other stuff, and Ted Kord shooting Blue Beetle in the head, killing him, and Wonder Woman snapping his neck, and it was crazy. And not Ted Kord, my bad. It wasn't Ted Cord Ted Cord was Blue Beetle, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it was crazy. So Superboy had enough, punched basically reality, broke the reality ball they were in, and went out there and he picked a fight with the other Superboy, Connor Kent, which is I believe Clark Kent and Lex Luthor's son through DNA, biological test tube or whatever. And yeah, they went at it, and Connor Kent ended up dying in Infinite Crisis. And then Superboy just Prime Earth Superboy just like got super powerful and started beating everybody, and tried to bring back his multiverse, tried to bring back the multiverse in his Prime Earth, which I believe it failed, because I was looking through the book and I believe it failed. But yeah, that was a really good crisis, and it changed the status quo. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman left for a year, and they let the other superheroes take care of, Gotham City, Metropolis, and all the crime and everything. And it was really good. I haven't finished it, but so far I'm on the part with Mongol, and Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman are fighting Mongol, but it's really good. And then the next crisis is Final Crisis. Now, Final Crisis, from what I heard, is the most confusing crisis. This crisis consisted of Darkseid's spirit traveling through time, falling through Earth, and Darkseid's body being big as the most. From what I read of the summaries, it's crazy. But at the end of the crisis, Batman supposedly dies, but he gets sent back in time. And that leads us into our next crisis, which is Flashpoint. Flashpoint, so Flashpoint is huge. Now, from what I heard when they first started it out, it wasn't supposed to be a big full reboot, but they ended up doing a big full reboot. And Flashpoint is basically Barry Allen going back in time to save his mother, and he saved her, but in return had the Atlanteans fighting the Amazons and having destruction throughout the whole world. So Barry Allen had to go back in time, stop himself from saving his mother, thus creating a new DC universe or DC timeline, thus creating the New 52. And in my next video of the history of DC Comics Part 2, I'll talk about the New 52 and the Darkseid War, Dark Metal, Dark Knight's Death Metal. And I think my favorite run out of the New 52 has to be Batman, because the Court of Owls, Endgame, those to me, because that's where I started DC at, and those comics to me were like, whoa, like that's pretty cool. But going back to the old stuff, I was like, whoa, this is even cooler. Like, what? Yeah, so that's the summary of the history of DC Part 1. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, click that like button and click that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can be alerted when I drop videos. And I hope this video was informative. I don't have all the facts, thus when I make my first video, I'll have a timeline. So the first book I'll probably present to y'all is Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I'll make a timeline and I'll place that book on the timeline, and every book I read and review I'll place on the timeline, so we can all get a sense of how the timeline was, and all the continuity changes and everything. And well, I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Official J Man the Realist is out.